French here. Okay, today we are starting our first project, and it is called Three Figures, and we actually call it Three Figures, the Nerdy Edition this year. So, what you're going to do is you are going to get a paper. It is double-sided, and it has lots of nerdy references, nerdy figures on it, nerdy pieces of art. And you're going to take three figures from that. Figure is a person or an animal, technically. In this case, maybe a superhero or a made-up figure. Okay, so you're going to take three of these. You are going to draw them to the best of your ability. And then you are going to create a scene for them. It's a made-up scene, anything you want. But you have to create an environment in which incorporates all three of those figures together. So basically you're taking three pieces of art and putting them together into one nice composition. Okay, so of course Mr. Specht and I did examples for you. Mr. Specht shows Mario, Doc from Back to the Future, and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, who's a precursor to Mickey Mouse. Lesson number 1. Okay, and he put them in a lineup. This is his. It's pretty awesome. Okay, Miss French took Bunsen Honeydew, Darth Vader with Mickey ears, and Captain America, and put them together in a scene similar to when Captain America arrives in New York City. I should be taller so you can see me over the artwork. I guess you don't need to see me. You see enough of me. Okay, so anyway, here's my scene. Now, to do this project, your first step would be to choose your figures. Kind of maybe plan out what you think your scene might be, who would work best in your scene. The reason you kind of need to have an idea in your mind is you need to know how big to draw each of your figures. For instance, my figures can't be huge, and Mr. Specht's needed to be huge to take up his whole space. There's the difference. You'll start with sketches first. You'll have a sketch of all your people. These will actually end up being what you transfer over onto your project paper, so you won't have to redraw them. This will be your sketch paper. Doesn't have to stay neat, doesn't have to stay clean, but you want to do this to the best of your ability. It's not just a throw a sketch down. It's take your time to draw it to make it look the best you possibly can. So, how to transfer your sketches from your sketch sheet to your project paper. So, these are final drawings. They're not just Mr. Specht's sketches. This is what he wants on his project paper. So in order to transfer that, there are two methods that you can use to transfer. One is using tracing paper, in which you lay a sheet of tracing paper on top of Mario, or anybody. Lay a sheet of tracing paper on top. Outline. Go over every single line that's drawn in Mario. So basically trace it, the whole thing onto the paper. Then you take the tracing paper, you flip it over onto the table, and you shade over the back. Then you flip your tracing paper that has shade over the back of your drawing onto your project paper and go over all those lines you just traced on your tracing paper one more time. That will transfer the image onto your paper in pencil. It's a very cool process. The second way to do it would be to put your project paper on top of this and look through it. Not always as easy. You can't always see through the paper as well. Also, since you might have other things on your paper, the tracing paper, since you can see through your tracing paper, is a lot easier to manipulate as to where exactly you want it to make sure it gets transferred into exactly the right spot. After that, it's environment time, and you need to come up with your own very unique environment to put these three figures in. Okay, there's a couple of rules about your environment. So when you're thinking about it, your environment cannot be outside in an open park where the grass meets the sky and there's a sun in the corner of your page. You must be far more creative than that here. Now, we gave you a lot of geeky inspiration, so you should be able to get something nerdtastic from it. That's what we're looking for here. Next is materials. For this project, after you get it all drawn in pencil, no shading, you will be coloring with colored pencil and marker. Now, I like to go about at least half colored pencil, half marker. When you're using colored pencil, you must use a flat color, which means your color cannot mix with the white of the paper. You need to hold your pencil as you would a regular writing pencil and hold it that way and color in small spaces at a time. Okay? For instance, all of mine, except for the background, except for the sky, is done in colored pencil. So it's a nice solid flat color. It's not mixing with the white of the paper. That's what your colored pencil should look like. Now for marker, when you're using a marker, you always want to outline, very carefully outline around everything that you're going to be coloring. Outline with the tip of your marker and color with the side of your marker. If you have one of those cone-shaped markers, you want to make sure that you outline first, color with the side. You don't want to have too big of a space that's done in marker because you can really tell the difference. If you say you're doing the sky and you have clouds, or in my case buildings and billboards that break it up, that really helps so that the marker doesn't overwhelm. No matter what you do, you need to be the neatest you can possibly be. In this project, we're trying to test your creativity, your ability to look at something and draw it to the best of your ability, while also kind of making it your own. Maybe you change it up a little bit, maybe you change its orientation. You do want it to be recognizable to your classmates who will also have seen this. And we also like to see what nerdy things you like.